for the Dorset Fire District supplemental water. Is there any date for that coming online?
The short answer, unfortunately, is no, because the state. So we're actually the yield of the gravel packed well is like 16 gallons a minute, somewhere in there, 17 gallons a minute, which is not. It was initially the hydrogeologist told us it was going to be like 30.
Yeah.
So it's the yield is like half, and then the treatment costs in order to fully treat it and connect it and use it just like the water from the springs. The treatment costs are like in the realm of almost $1 million. So the ends just don't justify the means. So we've basically, it's not that, it's kind of on hold, and the state has told us, put that on hold and then look at making a lot of repairs to these lines to try to stem the water loss. Because now that we've had metering for over a year and 3 or 4 months, we know that like probably 2/3 of the water, as of like a month ago, 2/3 of the water that was going out of the reservoir was just leaks or wasted. So there seems to be enough water from the springs. It's just a matter of trying to keep it all from being lost.
Well, until there's a drought. I mean,
well, no. So even during the last, and this is one of the good pieces of info, during the last two, I think 15 and 16, the two drought seasons,
yeah,
the average consumption going like out of the reservoir was anywhere from 200 to 250,000 gallons a day. Right now, we've got it cut down to about 80,000 gallons a day.
Wow.
So the springs themselves produce anywhere from 70 to 85 gallons a minute. And the issue in 15 and 16 was just the quantity of water that was going out of the reservoir to leaks and to use and waste and all that stuff was really the bigger problem. The springs were still pumping out water. Like right now, before the trees wake up, those springs will do they do like 300 gallons a minute. It's amazing. When the trees wake up and other things happen, and summer comes, they still go down to, from what I've seen, it doesn't look like they go much below 100 gallons a minute. So one of the things that we need to hope for maybe in the next little while is a drought conditions season where we can really document the amount of the volume of water that's coming from the springs, so we can prove what that low level is, because right now we're being held to like 68 gallons a minute, when in reality all the operators say it never gets below like 85. And that the difference between the 68 and the 85 is critical in terms of the supplemental source and that whole discussion. But the good news is that on the leaks and consumption side, the usage is way down as compared to a couple of years ago. So that definitely buys us a lot of time in terms of the supplemental conversation.
Okay. Yeah, but what about the moratorium?
So part of what we have to do is, we have to prove out that there's excess water, which we think we can do if if the lines are repaired and the system is tight, that there should be additional water that we can show on paper, and that potentially would be something that could lift the moratorium. That combined with the supplemental source would do that. But having 17 or 18 gallons a minute and spending $1 million on treatment just is not something that makes sense right now, until maybe once the line's fixed and some of the pipes are new, and that's behind them, then the treatment makes a little more sense. It's still a lot of money to spend for not that great of a yield.
Yeah.
Do you think replacing all that galvanized is going to take any significant part of the leakage out of there, or not really?
Yeah, Jim, that's pretty much the entire problem.
Oh, okay.
The service lines are all they've passed the point of their useful life, and The mains themselves are ductile iron, and they're all in really good shape. About 75% of the repairs that we have to make are all on service lines. So the good news is that it seems like potentially they could work through a project where, you know, they do some of those service line upgrades that, you know, they may get a lot of it forgiven, which may free up some money to then spend on the supplemental if they want to, or fire hydrants or something else.
But you probably won't need the supplemental if you take care of that problem.
Well, so the state really is like, they don't, not that they don't like springs, but they like you to have, you know, a couple of different sources if possible, just because we just never know. We talk about climate change and things changing, and being at the whim of a spring versus a you know, a well that's a little more mechanized. It just offers a, you know, to have two options is not a bad thing. So sorry to go on and on and on, but
Thank you for answering my questions.
yeah.